What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we take a look back at the early works of seasoned comedians before they were seasoned with this week's guest, Alex Hooper. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Done Way Past Funny. Thank you for joining us as we continue our interview with professional roaster, human cartoon, and comedian Alex Hooper. Enjoy.
I started talking about cancer very quickly after I was diagnosed. I was at the Comedy Store here in LA doing a set and it just came out of me. I just started talking about it. And I was doing okay. I was performing through my first couple months of chemotherapy. And then everything really fell apart on me. I ended up in the hospital because I went septic. My chemo port got infected internally and all my organs started shutting down. I had a stroke and crazy shit. But that took me out for like 2 months. And I was in the hospital for a little over a month. And then when I got out, I was attached to an intravenous IV bag. So I was just trying to heal. And when I first got back on stage, it was about a little over a 2-month break that I had taken. I just took it real slow. I was not my usual self. That took a little bit of time to get back, but just a lot of work went into what you're looking at now. Like every morning I woke up and it was a minimum of 30 minutes of doing physical therapy and just getting myself back in order, doing cognitive exercises to make sure that my brain was still firing on all cylinders. And it's not an accident that I'm filming this special less than a year after I was cleared of all the cancer, the sepsis, and everything else. I worked very hard to get to this point and to really get back to myself. When I was in the hospital, I was extremely delirious. I was out of it. I was weak. I was not me. And my sister-in-law said around Easter of this year, she said, it's really good to have you back. And I was like, yeah, no, it's good to be back. She goes, no, I mean this version of you, the fun, silly, gregarious, enthusiastic version of you, because that's what we weren't sure if we were going to get back. We didn't know what was going to be on the other side of all of this. I could have very easily fallen into a dismal place where I just crawled into a dark hole and I was miserable and I just didn't trust myself, the world anymore. But that's just not who I am. And so I tried to keep a positive attitude throughout the entire experience, even when it was going super shitty. I let myself feel. It's not like, and I wasn't like absolutely just maniacal. Like if I wasn't lying to myself. If I had a day where I was fucking depressed, that was a day where I was just then I was okay. Then I'm not doing shit. I'm just going to lay on a couch all day and let myself feel depressed. But I told myself, you can't stay in that space because that's not benefiting anybody, Now, so.
I first of all, earlier you said you've done comedy in 30 states.
Yeah, about that.
To be honest, I don't expect to ever achieve your level of accomplishment in comedy. Part of it is because I don't have enough time left in my life to do it. I started comedy when I started doing comedy when I was 55 years old.
What? Sorry, what?
Yeah.
What? I'm looking at a man who's over 60 right now.
I'm 64.
That's Jesus. Do you realize?
No, I know people get this mixed up. I look like Jesus, but
yeah, seriously, dude. I mean, I'm amazed because we look like the same age. So yes, I know white people have bad skin, especially me. I have terrible eczema, but Jesus, look at the difference here, people. This is insane.
Well, thank you, but looks is one thing, years or something else. I don't have to. I may have the looks that could last, but you understand what I'm saying. It took you a while to get to where you are,
Oh,
and
for
you still may
sure.
not be,
Yeah.
and you still may not be where you want to be. But I mean, it's like you say, 4 continents, um, an accidental documentary that you shot in London.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, which we'll plug. We'll put that up there. No, it's I got to watch. I've got to watch the first 20. I think it's like 30 minutes long.
Yeah. It's about
Yeah,
20. I think
it's
27 minutes.
27
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah, 27 minutes. Now I'm actually at minute 19.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, so I'll
I
finish
hope
it.
you're enjoying it.
I am, and also being a comedian, I look at it through the eyes like like I said, I enjoy comedy as a fan.
Hmm.
But when I see someone who does something that I like and they can do it better than me or in a way that's different from the way that I can do it, I enjoy it more because then it's like I'm at class.
I
Then,
get
and
that.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so I watch you, and like I said, what you do is so different than what I do. Well, actually, in theory, we have the same philosophy. We just don't even use the same words. Like with the longer set, with a full show, I view my set as a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And I'll go like like it's tick 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 tick, and then once you hit that hill and you go like wee, and I'm gonna
Yep.
give you a break, let you catch your breath, and then at the end of the ride we're gonna take a picture together. So
Yeah. I
so
love that.
yeah, so and now the problem I had was that's the way I thought when I first started doing comedy. I thought that that's the way it should be for me anyway. But when you're first starting, you're getting like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and it's hard to do a roller coaster set because people just think you're slow or it's like no, this is all part of a big picture. You're not getting a
Right.
big and instead of me like the way you did it was like smarter because even if I don't even want to say you overwhelmed the audience, but you made a presence. Your 7 minutes counted for something, I think.
I
No.
don't know if it was smarter. I just honestly, I think I was compensating for my own nerves and just trying to stand out in any way I could because like again, I started in Los Angeles. So when I
Right.
started, I was very quickly performing with pros.
Yes.
And I had to try to step up into that role where I'm like, "Oh, I'm on the same show as these people that I've been watching on TV my entire life. So
Right.
how do I make myself deliver a performance that is going to make people say, "Okay, we're going to pay attention to this guy"? And honestly, like I look back and I'm not embarrassed by it by any means because that was my own journey, but I was just really fucking loud. And when I watch a comedian do that now, I see it and I'm like, "Oh, you don't have to do that, buddy. Shh, take your time, calm down, let them come to you." But I was just like beating them over the head with a mallet. And so, yeah, it's just, you learn that stuff as time goes on.
Now, the shirt. I don't want to call the tops, the outfits that you wear. They're sort of on the flamboyant side. I don't want to say loud or. I
They
keep
are.
thinking. I keep thinking Joseph Technicolor rain, not Technicolor raincoat, Technicolor dreamcoat.
Uh-huh.
That's what I
Yeah.
think of when I see. So when did that become part of your style? Because that's what I associate you with those tops. Those
Yeah, yeah. So basically, when I moved out to California, I started going to a lot of music festivals,
right,
and like started with like Coachella and things like that. Then moved to some electronic music festivals. Eventually, like went to Burning Man, and
right,
and the thing is, when you go to these festivals, the people express themselves in a multitude of ways, and they are very endlessly who they want to be out in the real world at these festivals when
right,
it's a judgment free zone. So I
right.
started wearing some really outlandish shit. A lot of it was inspired by my friends. My wife started making clothing with her friends, and we would all wear clothing that they made. And so it just became like this way where I was like, wow, I feel so free when I wear this stuff. And thanks to Roast Battle, I had opportunities to start wearing it as a comedian because roast battle is essentially like professional wrestling where,
Yeah.
you can, be a character. And so I started really stepping into myself and I realized like I feel my best when I'm in this style of clothing, when I can really be me, when I'm flowing. And so that's when I really started wearing the kimonos on stage. It was about 2000, like I first started wearing like kind of outlandish outfits at Roast Battle, like 2016, the end of 2016. And
Right.
then I didn't really start wearing them as a just stand-up comic until I believe it was early 2019 is when I
Okay.
really started like wearing the kimonos and stuff like that all the time. And I just instantly felt more like myself. And I was worried people wouldn't take me seriously. It turns out it's the exact opposite. I'm more genuine because I'm just being me up there. I'm not hiding. I'm not, every once in a while somebody calls them a gimmick. They're not a gimmick. This is my clothing. It's what I wear. You
Right.
know, like it's just if I'm not trying to be something that I'm not, when I put on those outfits, I step into myself as a performer. You
Right.
know, like Cedric the Entertainer said, the reason why I wear this hat is because I need to look better than everybody else in that audience. And they need to know that I'm the one that they came to see. And for him, that was a hat. Well, for me, that's a kimono.
Right. I get it. I get it. And for me, it's my hair. I think. I
Exactly.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
No, I mean,
and I.
everybody has
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's up to you whether or not you want to use it or not. I mean, Bert Kreischer takes his shirt off. That's what he does. Like people, and it's not to say you need something, but I love wearing that shit. It's psychedelic and it's comfortable, it's soft, it's groovy. It makes you go, wait, who's this? And it makes me a little more memorable. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you something, and I'm sure you get asked this all the time because with all the clubs and stuff you performed in. What is the best smelling club you've ever performed in, and what is the worst smelling club you've ever performed in? And
Okay.
I know you don't have to think about it. I'm sure people ask you that all the time. It's like, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, best smelling club is that one's actually more difficult because I'm trying to think like obviously, the Vegas casinos smell pretty good because
Yeah,
they're pumping
yeah.
some sort of perfume, pheromone, something aroma going through those things. Those usually smell pretty good. A club that just genuinely has good food always smells good. I performed a couple months ago at the Alameda Comedy Club, which is near Oakland, California,
Right.
and their menu was exquisite. And because of that, you just have these great smells wafting through the showroom,
Yeah.
and so that was really nice. I mean, and I'll say it, like, dude, the worst smelling club, and don't make this a clip or anything like that because I don't need this getting around. But in
Okay.
LA,
Well,
there's a place.
can I bleep out the name?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you
You
can
can
bleep
tell
out
the
the name.
story. Tell the story, and I'll bleep out the name.
Yeah, there's a place in LA. And their bathroom, I don't know what the hell happens in there. It smells like an old fish tank, and they leave the door open during the show. And if you're anywhere near it, it just smells so god awful. There is this stench that just hits you. And I don't understand why the people that work there aren't like, we need to fix this, please. Like, this is awful. People have literally told me, oh, that place smells bad. Your comedy club should never smell bad. Like
Yeah.
it's not, that can't be that hard of a thing to just fix. It really can't. So that's my answer.
There was a place, like, the thing is, I don't mention the name because I can't remember the name. I can remember this in Western Maryland. I can't remember. And the thing is, they had two stages. They had the good stage upstairs, which I was not at. And then they had then they had the good stage was used for bands and I guess big names. I was in the basement stage, And when I walked down there, it smelled like urine, mold, and
Ugh.
a slight whiff of bleach that was being overpowered by fungus or something. Just you could tell that the bleach was putting up a good fight,
Yeah.
but had lost. So,
Yeah.
which I think takes a month, and it was bad. It was just, and to this day, like I said, it's just one of those smells. Now I know for me, the best place I ever performed was actually at an open mic. It wasn't even a real venue or club. It was an open mic. It was a pizza place,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, and I walked in there and I was like, and the pizza was really good. And it was so good that even though it was just an open mic, I was like, oh, this is really good pizza. I could perform here. It's like it's an open mic. I could perform here every week, you know, but it would have been expensive because well, I don't know how much money you get paid to do open mics. I don't get paid a lot of money.
$0.
So, oh, okay, so we're on the same
I
pay
lose
scale.
money doing negative money doing open mics. It took
Yeah,
me years. So I've been doing comedy, like I said, like over like almost 15 years. So next year will be 15 years. It took me probably until year 10 or 11 to actually recoup the money that I had spent just on comedy, like going to open mics, all the driving,
yes.
everything, like when it's a one drink minimum or whatever to go perform at this bar, all of that stuff. I think that took me at least a decade to be able to recoup and get back to like square one of
I
like,
may never
okay,
I may never ever be able to recoup. To be honest, because you started in LA, and I think you probably can't swing a dead cat without hitting a place where you can do an open mic, right?
yeah, for sure.
No, see, I started in Florida, and there was like the nearest place for me to do an open mic was an hour drive, and then after that was 90 minutes because I was in Venice, Florida, and I was
Okay.
driving from Venice to Tampa, Venice to Sarasota, you know, and that's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and
I will
so
tell you this. I mean,
yeah.
Tampa, one of my absolute favorite comedy cities.
Well, it's nice. It's not. It's gotten a lot nicer since I left. No, I'm just teasing. No, and I
Yeah,
think it was. I think
as
there
soon
was
as you
like,
were gone, it really cleaned
yeah,
itself
it's
up.
like,
Yeah.
oh, thank God we can open these other places now. But it's not because I left there maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago,
Yeah.
I guess. Um, and when I came to I've been in Maryland. I've been in Maryland since 2015. Right, 2015, and uh, so it's even still where I moved. I live in Westminster, Maryland.
Hmm.
And for people who don't, I'll put a map up. People don't know anything about Baltimore. Like I'll say, people for booking, I have to say I'm a Baltimore comedian because people know Baltimore. They don't know what the fuck Westminster is. Well,
Sure.
Westminster is an hour north of Baltimore. You know, so even if I want to do something in Baltimore, the nearest place for me to do anything is 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And if I want to go to DC, it's 90 minutes, 2 hours if it's rush hour traffic. You
At
know,
least.
so when you're in Baltimore, you're driving around. How do you get around when you're in the Baltimore area?
So this past time I was home recently and I rented a car because I was there with my wife and then my brother and his wife also flew in. So we rented a car to drive around to anywhere we wanted to go. This next time, when I'm back in January, I mean, my mom has offered to pick me up and take me to my hotel, and I'll either take a lift to the radio station, or my mom might drive me just so she can spend more time with me. My mom is incredibly supportive of my comedy career, myself. She loves that I found something like this because for many years I was misguided. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was essentially hopeless. And when I found stand-up comedy, she was like, "Great, sink your teeth into that and see where it takes you." And she loves watching me perform. She loves hearing all the stories. She's a huge comedy fan. So
Okay,
the fact that I know, like, she goes to shows all the time on her own. So the
great.
fact that I know so many of the people that she pays money to see and is like happy to go watch them, it means a lot to her. So more than likely she'll just drive me around. And then when I'm at Magoobies, they put you up in a hotel right next to the club. So yeah.
Okay. Now, so your so who in your family then is the hardest person to make laugh?
My wife.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like
Now, wait a minute. Now, is it because she has a different sense of humor, or is it because she, okay, you go ahead, tell me why. Go on. Go ahead.
on both things that you were about to say. Though, like, so yes, she has a different sense of humor. She has a very high standard of what will make her laugh, but also because she's around me far too much. She laughs like my comedy doesn't really make her laugh, but me in real life, I make her laugh all the time. But when I get a really good laugh out of her, that is it's a genuine win for me. Like honestly, because she like an audience, like they come there ready to laugh. My
Right.
wife doesn't walk in through the door after a day of work just like, please entertain me. So, so yeah, when she's definitely the hardest. My mom, my sister are the absolute easiest. They laugh at every single thing I say to the point where I question if it's even funny. You know,
So,
sometimes I say my mom is such a big fan of my comedy that I don't think it's any good because
okay.
she should not be a 73-year-old woman should not be my target demographic here.
Now, who is your wife's favorite comedian then, if she has one?
I couldn't even tell you that because she's not. The thing is, and this is going to sound crazy, she's not a stand-up comedy fan.
Okay. No,
So
that's not crazy. That's not crazy.
okay,
That's
good.
yeah.
So some people hear that and they're like, "What? How could that be?" Because she doesn't have to love my work. She
Right.
appreciates my work. She's so glad that that it fills me with joy. But in the same way that she's a copywriter, I don't go, "What kind of copy did you write today?" Like I'm so, like we both have our jobs and we're excited to hear about them, but we don't need to be like super into the world of copywriting. She doesn't need to be into the world of stand-up comedy. It was never something that she did before we were together anyway. Like she was never like, oh yeah, my friends and I are going to a comedy club. It just wasn't, that's not something she did. So yeah, just not, I don't need her to be into it. Like she supports it and she helps me with it, but I
Right.
don't need her to be. When I see people at the clubs like with their wives and their girlfriends, I feel or husbands, whatever the case, I feel for those people that on both sides.
Right.
When I'm watching somebody introduce you, oh, this person, this do in a line. Like I was at the Laugh Factory Christmas party last night. If my
Right.
wife had come with me, I would have had to introduce her to 200 people, you know, and that's exhausting for everybody. She's not trying to develop any relationship. So it's just easier if I go out in the world on my own or with a friend or two.
Now, when this is a little leap and a little different, but that's just the way my brain works, and I'm sure you understand that. On your YouTube special that you shot in London, okay, I'm assuming that you wrote some of your jokes before you got there. Were able to like UK test your material on UK people before you got across the pond?
Um, Not really. Like I
You
was
understand what
trying
I'm
to do,
saying? No, you understand because UK
yeah.
their humor is a little bit different than ours, and so some of the jokes, yeah, So I didn't know if you got a chance to UK test them. You understand what I mean by that? I
Oh
guess.
no, totally. So yeah, I mean, basically, I tried to do material that was pretty universal. That because it wasn't my first time. Like previous to that, I performed in Argentina, Thailand, Canada, Mexico. But the reason I wanted to go to London anyway, because I had never been, but also what after I did America's Got Talent, so many of the comments were like, come to England, we'll love you over there. We love this style of like, this style of comedian. So I went there kind of expecting that they would dig what I did.
Okay.
And I quickly learned that I'm still a very different comedian than most comedians over
Yes.
there. And so I stood out just by being myself, which is always the goal. You always want to stand out on a show. And I had a blast over there. And we never, you said an accidental documentary. That's exactly what it was. I was gearing up to do a special in 2020. I don't need to tell you what happened there. But so we had all this footage from the London trip, and my friend was like, I think I could put something together from this and just kind of we'll see what happens. And he put together, considering we had no plan whatsoever. He was just filming shit. It was pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
Like what he was
he
able to
did a good
slap
job.
together. Yeah, it has a little bit of a through line. It's interesting to watch because it's basically the way somebody described it to me the best. They said it felt like an episode of like an Anthony Bourdain show, but with a
Yes.
stand-up comedian.
Yes. Yeah.
Other people said it felt like they were on tour with me. And that was really cool. They were like, oh, I was like behind the scenes with you on tour. I was running around that city with you, and like, cool. Great.
Now I have a friend of mine named Brian T. Shirley, and he has a thing called the. Now I know I'm going to mess it up. I will fix it in post, not with the words, but I'll show you what it's called. I think it's called BTS on the Road, and I think like every show that he's been doing comedy for like 150 years. I think a long
Wow.
time.
Yeah,
a long time. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, I'll tell you this: the Pilgrims were not easy audiences.
No. He almost got burned at the stake several times, but it seems like for years. Like I said, well, I've known him for 8 years. I opened up for him, I think, like 8 years ago. But he records like the little nuances of each show, like where to stay, the drive, and stuff like that. And then so it's like he was doing it on a regular basis, like little 10, 15-minute things. And so to me, what you did was kind of reminiscent of that. And even though your friend, I can't remember his name, I don't hate me for this. I forgot.
My friend of the documentary?
Yeah.
So Ben is the one that's kind of running. They're both running around me, but Kyle, you almost never see because he's the filmmaker.
Right.
Ben is the other guy that's is just a really good friend, not a comedian.
Looking for love.
Looking for love, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was paying attention. Now, see, but even though it was like an accidental documentary, I thought it was actually done better than some people's deliberate stuff.
Oh, thanks. No, I will let Kyle know that, and he's because he really just put it together. I couldn't believe when I saw what he was able to accomplish because I hadn't seen a lot of the footage, and I was like,
Right.
This is coherent and interesting. And I love the style of you see me on stage for like a few seconds and then the audio keeps playing, but I'm doing other things.
Yes.
And so the visual is just something else entirely. And it works.
Yeah. I've seen that style before. So I like that style. As a matter of fact, I was so tempted to actually use it in the way I do one of my actual real comedy shows. One of my comedy thing is, as a matter of fact, I do use it. I'm sorry, I forgot because my biggest fan died during COVID.
Ooh.
And so and he had the best laugh, the most contagious laugh. And so I was fortunate enough and smart enough by accident that there's some jokes I knew he was going to be in the audience, and I wrote stuff that only me and him would laugh at, because I knew what made him laugh. Yeah. And so I had some stuff where it's literally the audience, I tell the joke, he laughs, I look at him and I wink, and then the audience starts laughing because his laughter is that contagious. And so when I did my third special, he had passed away, but I found a clip of his laughter and I inserted it in the audience, so that I could hear it and my family and my wife his wife could hear it and stuff like that. But I had his picture up with a graphic, but I was still doing stuff underneath of it for a little bit.
Yeah, that's really sweet. I love that.
Yeah. So I appreciate the style that he was doing. I think, like I said, Kyle did really good work on it. Now, did you have Eddie say any editing of it, or were you just surprised at the finished product?
No. I mean, because the first thing he showed me was 52 minutes long, and I was like, it's slow. There's too much. It's like he was putting way more stand up in there, way more like long form bits, and I was like, we didn't have like we only had your camera that night. You can't show 7 minutes straight of me doing stand up from one camera. It's just
Right.
not interesting. And so then he basically just trimmed all of the fat from it, and what you get is this very fast-paced moving video that is it leaves you wanting more, instead of like, because the first cut was like too much. It was like, no, like get rid of all the times if you think it feels boring for a second, cut it. And then what he gave me was just phenomenal.
Hi, I'm T.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Don't Way Past Funny. Please join us as we continue our interview with Alex Hooper. And when you come back, bring a friend.